Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor Suitors podcast. My name is Brendan Drum. I'm here with Parker Thune, and we're here to talk Bedlam. We're here to talk new rivals rankings, our thoughts on that. There's things we disagree. There's things we agree with. That's always going to happen. It's part of the deal. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about March 9th, big visit day, big visit list coming up on OU Insider down the road. We've been accruing names for our list. We are always gonna wait until about a week out to start putting out our stuff because we want to make sure that those things change as little as possible from that point on by the time we post it. And then on top of that, we're going to talk about players already starting to set up official visits and a whole lot more right here on this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast. But first, Parker Thune, you have some bills to pay, and we will start off with that.
Quick word from our sponsor, folks. This episode of the OU Insider Under the Visor podcast is brought to you by Joy Mode. Guys, Joy Mode makes all natural, science-backed supplements dedicated to helping men perform better across their core functions. Joy Mode is an alternative to the blue pill, but its worth doesn't start and stop there because it also supports cardiovascular health, athletic performance, and healthy blood pressure, among other things. Now, it comes in a palm-sized packet, just like a pre-workout mix or an electrolyte powder. All you have to do is mix it into 6 to 8 ounces of water, wait 45 minutes, and watch the magic unfold. Now, here are the game changers. All ingredients have been assessed in peer-reviewed journals, and all ingredients have been studied and researched in humans. You'll never go back to prescription or over-the-counter drugs after trying Joy Mode, which contains clinically supported doses of arginine nitrate, L-citrulline, Panax ginseng, and vitamin C. So, want to see your confidence skyrocket? Go to usejoymode.com for 20% off with code INSIDER. That's 20% off and free shipping with code INSIDER at usejoymode.com. Joy Mode, ingredients with integrity.
All right. So first off, Parker, before we get going, I will be at Carl Albert tomorrow. We're recording this on a Tuesday, so Wednesday I'll be at Carl Albert, and I believe Thursday I'll be at Owasso. I'll come back Friday, go to my kids' basketball game, leave that night, go up to Tulsa Prep Red Zone, big 7-on-7 tournament that weekend. Get to see a lot of the top in-state offers that Oklahoma has, several out-of-state teams, because that's usually just a huge tournament with a lot of big names from Texas, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Missouri. Trying to think of another state Louisiana. They all kind of come up and collide into Tulsa for that weekend, and I'll be up there watching my kid, but also covering that 7-on-7. This past weekend, I went up to Springfield with Sooner 7 because my son plays quarterback for him, obviously. The 12U team. And I have to tell you, 2027 Jinx safety Samaj Stanford. He's got several offers already. He will be in Norman on March 9th. That is a bad dude. A bad dude. Like, he has some of the best feet. Super athletic. Very rangy. There's so many things. We all stayed in the same hotel, and I got to talk with him a little bit when my son went down there kind of to hang out with everybody in the lobby after the first night. And he's an extraordinary kid too. Just everybody else is kind of loud and out there and having fun as, 15, 16, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, as they tend to do, right? They're playing Xbox in the lobby. They're hanging out. They're eating pizza. They're doing the thing that most kids do. And you hear a kid go, you guys aren't focusing on the task at hand. We need to win this thing tomorrow. And he was talking about bracket play. And that was Samaj Stanford, Jinx safety. So, He's going to be a 4-star. Obviously, his brother plays at Houston, or he's a freshman at Houston, or will be a freshman at Houston in the 2024 season. A fantastic player at Jinx in his own right, was a very underrated player. Samaj is going to be downright special. And I'll even add something a little bit on a personal note, not so much personal because it's not my kid. Dusty Dvorak's kid, folks, Hudson Dvorak. I know he's only 11, 12 years old, but my God, can he play, Parker? That dude can fly. I've never seen a kid that can run the way he can and catch. So there's some talent coming up in the state of Oklahoma, and it doesn't just stop with 25, 26. Samaj Stanford's a 27 kid, dude. Like in that 27 class in the state of Oklahoma, I know Mustang alone has 4 or 5 P5 guys. And from my understanding, I was talking to an OU coach. They're well aware of some really strong talent at Owasso in 2027. There's a D tackle there. I believe it's Wayne Jones Jr. Is his name, or Dwayne Jones. I believe there's a safety in 26, 27 and Broken Arrow. That's really good. It's getting to where the state is just developing more and more and more talent. And there's a lot of names coming through the woodworks that we haven't really gotten to evaluate yet. And I'm really excited about this weekend.
Yeah, man. And Samaj Stanford, to your point, I think when you flip on the film and realize, to do what he did in the state of Oklahoma this past year as a true freshman, you're in pretty rarefied air right off the bat there, and already holds 5 scholarship offers at the FBS level. And, it's safe to assume that Oklahoma offer will be coming at some point along the line, because you're just rare are the guys within state lines that are that gifted. And it's going to be really exciting to watch his development over the next couple of years. I mean, 2 absolute studs in back-to-back classes up there in Tulsa. When you're talking skill position guys and guys, Caden Jones is the other one that I'm thinking of in the 2026. But it's not just those 2, right? Taj Overton is a 2026 up there in the 918. And there will be others. So, exciting time right now across
Owasso. I have to say, Owasso's not just D-line, but their O-line is just, I think, is it Riker Hafe?
Riker Half and Blake Cherry, both
Blake
of them.
Cherry, studs.
Both of them are going to end up P5 and already have numerous offers to that effect.
Yeah, I think Blake Cherry just got another offer today. He just tagged me. I had to look and see what it was, but yeah, they're really, really good. The state of Oklahoma producing more and more. The OU, I think, Venables showed up at the right time with the trenches, with just the talent that OK Preps is starting to put out. It was already on the come up, and I think you're starting to see it just kind of, people are starting to take notice. And I think more so, let's start off with that, with the 25 new rankings. And I think you see that. If nothing more, you can look at the 2025 Rivals rankings, and you look at it not just from that standpoint, but across the industry. I mean, I believe Trinae Washington's even a 4-star with ESPN on 3 as well. So, like, in-state talent in the state of Oklahoma, obviously, is in 25 is they're getting their due finally. I believe. I'm trying to think who was the top. It wasn't Elijah. Elijah Thomas was 121. Kevin Sperry was 157 in the new Rivals rankings. What was Nate Roberts? Do you remember?
Nate Roberts was 141.
So Elijah was a top guy.
He was and has been for some time.
Yeah.
CJ Nixon was 227, and Jaden Nickens fell out.
Jaden Nickens fell out, which I thought was weird. We're missing one more, I feel like, right?
Tristan Haynes. Tristan Haynes was 204, I want to say.
Yeah. So let's get into that. First off, I think by the end of this cycle, I think that the highest ranked guy is obviously going to be Kevin Sperry. I don't think any one of us are going to argue that. Just because of the position that he plays.
Certainly.
Team that he's on. He's going to be able to showcase everything that he can do once again at the Elite 11, just because last year, outside of Michael Hawkins and DJ Lagway, he was that dude at that camp. And there was a lot of people that felt like he was the guy that should have went. So, but he was an underclassman. So he pulls that off again, and you're going to see him skyrocket, much like the same. It's almost the exact same trajectory and the exact same path that one Jackson Arnold took. Because remember, he was kind of in that 130, 120 range. And then bam, he hit that Elite 11. And now he's in fringe 5-star. He's like top 50. And then he goes off and does what he does the rest of the summer. And then the football season becomes that 5-star, one of the top 10 players in the country. And I think there's a really good chance of Kevin Sperry. I don't know that because he's in the state of Oklahoma, which I think is stupid. It's really stupid and really short-sighted by a lot of people, because nationally, I think it's just, I don't know. I don't get it. It is what it is. But I think he's going to be on the precipice of 5-star when it's all said and done, if he can continue the trajectory. Because I believe he jumped up, 37, 32, 33, 31, something like that spots. I can't remember the exact, but he was one of the bigger jumps.
It was
this cycle.
One of the biggest overall movers.
Yep.
Not just exclusive to the state of Oklahoma, but across the board. If we want to expand that conversation, is a guy that's going to be at Oklahoma on March 9th, and that is Trent Wilson, the outstanding defensive tackle out there at Dr. Henry A. Wise High School in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, alma mater of one Jalil Farouk. And we've talked about Trent Wilson a little bit. He's up to 127 in the latest Rivals rankings update. A guy that already was, even before this update, was regarded as a national top 15 prospect defensive tackle. Obviously, his stock rose even further, and he's squarely within the top 10 at the position right now. But going to be real interesting to see what kind of progress Oklahoma can make with him when he gets to campus on March 9th. Obviously, it feels like Penn State is the school you're trying to unseat there. Sooners are in a good spot with several defensive tackles. Obviously, they've got Kamari Moore committed, Cole Breeler from the Hun School in New Jersey, another guy that's really high on Oklahoma and whom Oklahoma is really high on. They went to see him every week during the contact period. So it's not necessarily Trent Wilson or bust, but certainly a guy you would love to have in Crimson and Cream. So he'll be one of the higher priority visitors next week when the March 9th group accumulates in Norman.
Another guy that obviously, I think he's coming for the spring game is Ty Haywood, who, he has continually made strides I think across the board in the industry, moving up the ranks. He's a guy that I'm trying to look here. I just saw him just a second ago.
Number 16.
16
in the update.
Yeah, number 16. I believe he was previously 59th. So like you look at that and you say, okay, like he's going to be or should be a name that Oklahoma fans continue to monitor. And we've talked about it on several occasions. And I know you re-reported it on OU Insider about Oklahoma standing with him when there was a lot of buzz with Texas A&M and all that. And you and I talked about when that buzz started, we were like, that A&M side needs to hold their horses a little bit, because we're hearing similar on the OU side, plus the people down in Denton are saying, look, Oklahoma leads. Like, I know he didn't go to OU for that big junior day, but that was because he'd been to Oklahoma a bunch. He wanted to check out the new staff at Texas A&M, which is totally understandable. And so he didn't make it, but he will be in Norman for a few practices. He will be in Norman for the OU spring game on April 20th. Like, Oklahoma, and I think you put it right. I'm not ready to put a crystal ball or future cast in for him. Not yet. But as this thing drags on, and if Oklahoma can hold serve through the month of April, that's when you're probably going to see a lot of people jump on board and really start throwing in predictions for him to Oklahoma. But Oklahoma's got to hold serve. Would you agree with that?
I would. And Texas A&M is certainly a school that they're going to be
Yep.
looking over their shoulder at, as is Alabama, and Texas will remain involved too. But yeah, man, I honestly, the fact that Oklahoma really from all sides seems to be the program with the leg up here is remarkable because he hasn't visited campus since Sooners Under the Stars at the end of July.
Right.
So it's been a long time since Haywood got the opportunity to have a fresh impression of OU. So spring game will be big. Spring game will be big with him in particular. And the expectation right now is that they're going to have not only Ty Haywood, but Michael Fasusi on campus as well, and may very well have Lamont Rogers back up for that weekend. So could be a real big opportunity for Bill Bedenbaugh to make a splash or two.
Well, I'll say this, and I know that I believe Legend Bay will be a Lamont Rogers teammate at Mesquite Horn. He will be on campus on March 9th, and so will Markel Ford. Both will be in Norman March 9th for Future Freaks, visiting once again. And Markel Ford is Oklahoma's top target in the 2026 class. I know there's another safety from Waxahachie that I believe has been catching some people's eye, and I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, and his name escapes me as well. But yeah, Waxahachie does have.
And I know that there's some people that think he may be right there, right below Ford as far as talent goes for 2026 safeties. So that's a name, Sooner fans. If you could look it up real quick and kind of help me here, but
I'm trying.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that Future Freak Day is on March 9th is gonna be it's generally for 26 and 27 kids, but there's gonna be some 2025 talent that shows up, like Trent Wilson, like you just talked about, the 4-star defensive tackle out of the DMV area. Oklahoma getting that type of talent back on campus just to, try to take another swing at, make sure they can get an official visit set up, all that jazz. I think it's going to be really, really critical moving forward because, like we've talked about, the spots are minimal for Oklahoma right now. Very minimal. I think there's 13, 14 spots left, and it's February. Like that, just wrap your head around that, OU fans, February, and you only have 14 spots left. That means that between now and June, it's going to I don't. Does Oklahoma get out of the month of June with more than 5 spots left on their board?
Right now, I would say absolutely not.
I think there's zero chance. Just guessing. So I think OU fans need to understand that because I also think Oklahoma is going to look to take a defensive tackle and another offensive lineman in the spring portal. I wholeheartedly believe that, actually. And if I'm a betting man, I think not only does Oklahoma have their 25 QB in tow, which they do, in Kevin Sperry, I bet you by the end of June they have the 26 QB in tow.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. You're probably quite right about that. I mean, there are a number of 2026 quarterbacks that are going to be visiting in the next few months, but I think Darion Coleman seems to be the guy that has the highest odds of being the Sooners signal caller and core of the class in 2026. Of course, they've already got a pledge and a top 100 one at that in Jonathan Hatton. So they kicked that class off with a flourish all the way back in October, I want to say. Was
Mm-hmm.
that long? It was that long ago that Jonathan Hatton committed. But by the way, Jaquan Snell, that's who you were thinking of down there at Waxahachie in the 2027 class. He's the one that's going to be right up there with Markel Ford in terms of priorities for Oklahoma and the years ahead in that safety room for Brandon Hall. I mean, and we've talked about it. Brandon Hall is in a very, very covetable position right now with where his room's at and where it will be.
So yeah, if he can keep that safety room happy and together, that may be the best safety room in the SEC across the board as far as depth goes. I guess I didn't get to watch it, so I'm going to defer to you. Let's talk about the 82-84 win by the University of Oklahoma in Stillwater. You know, Javen McCullough hitting the game winner, 3-pointer at the buzzer. You watched the game. I did not because I was at that 7-on-7 tournament. But thoughts on that game, thoughts on Oklahoma moving forward against Iowa State here tomorrow on the road. Is there a world they first off Bedlam, but is there a world that Oklahoma can pull the upset off?
Is there a world? Yes, I'm not counting on it. I think when they're at their best, Oklahoma is capable of playing with Iowa State. I think what we've seen throughout conference play with this team is that, yeah, you cannot count on Oklahoma being at their best on any given night. And that's what makes them so maddening, so frustrating to watch, is because you know it's there, right? You know all the pieces are there. It's just a question of whether they're going to come together on any given evening. And on Saturday in Gallagher-Iba Arena, I mean, that was a season-saving shot from Javian McCollum for the Sooners because, first off, it was not the greatest of possessions, not the greatest of whatever the plan was there. I don't think it was have Javian McCollum take a contested three from basically out of bounds out on the wing at the horn. It worked. So, hey, all's well that ends well. Pretty sure that's not how they drew it up, but they get the win. They get a win that they needed for multiple reasons, right? Yes, you wanted to creep closer to that 20-win threshold because I think if you get to 20 wins in the Big 12, you effectively punch your ticket to the field of 68. It would be very surprising if a team that won 20 games in the Big 12 conference did not make the dance. So Oklahoma's sitting in 19 wins right now. Pretty much all they have to do is not go 0-4 the rest of the way. Iowa State's going to be tough on the road in Hilton Coliseum. Anybody and everybody has trouble beating Iowa State in their own building. Houston's going to bring the number one team in the nation to the Lloyd Noble Center this weekend as Kelvin Sampson returns. But then you turn the page, and next week you get Cincinnati at home, and you get a beleaguered Texas team on the road. Both of those are very winnable games, and one could probably argue that Oklahoma should win both of those games. So take one of two next week, and you're good. Whatever happens between now and then, okay, whatever. Again, I don't really have the expectation that they're going to go to Hilton Coliseum and win. I don't really have the expectation that they're going to host Houston in the Lloyd Noble Center and win. But I think that team, if only for a brief moment on Saturday, they rediscovered their swagger. And that was especially evident to me in the way that they reacted when the game ended. I mean, Javian McCollum was gesturing over in the direction of the Oklahoma State bench, yelling, "Go home, go home." Rivaldo Soares was
Jordan in Game 5, 1988 versus Cleveland.
Yeah,
Craig
Rivaldo
Iglo
Soares was waving goodbye to the crowd. Otega Owe was jawing at the student section. I mean, obviously it's a rivalry game, so there's more at stake, but that to me is what distinguishes this team in Big 12 play from the team that went 12-1 in non-conferences. They just seem to have a swagger back then. They seem to have a confidence. They seem to be playing their game rather than trying to keep pace with the opposition. And to me, that's how you got to play in the Big 12. And certainly once you get to the big dance, once you get to March Madness, you know, I think the one thing that this fan base has taken Porter Moser and his team to task for throughout the season is that they don't seem to have an identity. And
Mhm.
look, I'll be candid. I think I know what Oklahoma's identity is. I think their identity is pretty self-evident. They're a small ball team. They have to be, especially with John Hughley on the shelf. Yeah, Luke Northweather gives you some size, but he's an inexperienced freshman. He is not going toe-to-toe in the paint for 40 minutes with the elite bigs of college basketball.
No.
What he can do every now and again, and you saw it on Saturday in Bedlam, was he can step back behind the arc and hit you a clutch three every now and then. And so Northweather certainly has a spot in the rotation. I don't want to devalue him, but with Hughley on the shelf for who knows how long after getting that knee surgery, it is Sam Godwin that is really your only remotely reliable contributor inside. And Soares has some size, but I don't think he's a five in an ideal world. At least not the type of five that you'd be running a traditional college basketball offense through. I think what you can do is if you want to play him at the five, then again, just embrace the small ball persona, play fast, take shots from outside, see if you can get your best shooters heating up, and take advantage of your athleticism. And that to me is where Soares, even at maybe 60% on Saturday, was so good. I mean, he scored 22 points for Oklahoma. He got past the 20-point threshold. I know that much. And Porter Moser wasn't even sure 90 minutes at tip if he was going to play. Not only does he play, but he leads the Sooners in scoring. Major props to him for that performance. But I think you can't be at odds with what you are and who you are. And
right.
I think if Oklahoma wants to make any kind of tournament run, let alone a deep one, what they have to do is come to terms with the fact that they are a small ball team and that their recipe for winning consists of getting their shooters hot from outside, taking advantage to some extent of Uzan and Oweh's slashing ability. And McCollum certainly has that capacity as well. But leverage athleticism, leverage speed, leverage pace of play. All of those things need to be the assets that you use as you go toe-to-toe with the likes of Kansas and Baylor and Houston and the elites in the Big 12 in the conference tournament. But then you move along to the field of 68 in March Madness, and you don't know who you're going to get matched up against. Right? It is completely grab bag, luck of the draw. And those advantages might favor the way that you play ball. They might not. But what it all comes down to every single year in college basketball, when March rolls around, is who's playing their best ball, who can get hot at the right time. And I think what gives me hope for Oklahoma, and maybe more hope than I had, and look, it's a game they should have won on Saturday. Thankfully, they did. It's a game they should have won. But what gives me hope for Oklahoma is that I saw some things throughout that game, not exclusive to the final possession and the aftermath, that led me to believe this team is rediscovering its juice. And you got to sustain it. That's going to be much easier said than done because, of course, Hilton Coliseum on Wednesday, at home to face the number one team in the nation on Saturday. You're going to get punched in the mouth probably twice in a row. And so you have to be willing to essentially allow no team ever walks into a game expecting to lose, right? Regardless, and maybe they do. Maybe they do. A team like Oklahoma doesn't. Porter Moser is never going to get his team ready to play by saying, look, we're probably not winning this game. But I think the collective mentality that Oklahoma needs to have this week is, hey, regardless of what happens up in Ames, regardless of what happens back here on Saturday against Houston, we're going to take what we did in Gallagher-Iba Arena. We're going to establish some of those concepts, expand upon them, exercise them a little bit further against Cincinnati and Texas, and see what we can unlock with this group heading into the Big 12 tournament. And from there, you may be one and done in the Big 12 tournament. It's a tough league. You might win a game or two, but you may also be one and done. Regardless of what happens in the Big 12 tournament, I think what gives me hope for March Madness for this Oklahoma basketball team is that they're coming close to squaring with their identity. I don't think they're there yet. I don't know if Porter Moser's there yet, but they're coming close.
So I guess, do you not see it as kind of manifest destiny that, that Kelvin Sampson's first return as a coach of an opposing team, uh, it was 18 years since he's coached at Oklahoma. Was that 2007 was his last year, right?
I believe it was 06 that Cade
2006.
got down.
Okay, yeah. So 18 years. And it's the number one team in the country. He's showing back up in Norman as the number one team in the country. And they're going to throw a lot of pomp and circumstance at him. And, welcome back, one of the all-time greatest coaches in OU basketball history and all that type of stuff to kind of throw him off their game. I give it zero chance that Sampson, I think he'll embrace it, but I think Kellen, Hollis, Kiwanis won't allow, and Kelvin himself, while he's embracing all the pomp and circumstances, they're going to be looking at, we want to kick our alma mater's ass.
Hey, and that team is a machine. Have you
they
watched
are
Houston at all?
Yes, they're unbelievable.
Holy, like right now on February 27th, and this may change within the next month. Right now, I'd pick that team to win the national championship.
Yes.
They are dynamite.
Yes, but I thought the same thing last year, to be honest. I think I picked them last year to win it all. Kelvin has some of the best teams that there is, and you look at his squad, and I don't know that there's a lot of McDonald's All-Americans and all that. You know what they do is he took a cue back from Phi Slam and Jamma and how they recruited back in the day. I went blank on the head coach's name. He was a character.
Jim Valvano.
He was NC State. He beat Houston.
I thought never mind. I thought that's where you were going with it.
No,
I got confused.
They locked down the Houston metro area, and there's so much basketball talent in that area, and then they go up and grab a few here and there in the Dallas, and that's essentially how they recruit. It's kind of awesome. It's awesome to see, like, you lock it down, and like I told in our last podcast, I was told that's how, if Kellen was ever the head coach at the University of Oklahoma, that's essentially what he would do, is just make sure state of Oklahoma is OU. You go and you grab the 4-star, and there's usually 2 or 3 4-star players in the state of Oklahoma every year.
Sure.
You go grab those guys, and then you nitpick elsewhere, and you can probably win a bunch of games doing that. So, that's how Kelvin has built that program and continues to run that program. And then you get a lot of that defense, right? Like hard-nosed Kelvin Sampson defense. But I think the one thing that is different than what OU fans are accustomed when it comes to Kelvin Sampson is he ran a lot of that 1-4 high, slow. It wasn't really spaced out offense, as far as the players always seemed jumbled up, and there wasn't a lot of room for I want to say our athletes to be athletes. Well, he goes to the NBA and he coaches in the NBA for what, 4 or 5 years, and he learned how to coach offense. He's talked about it. So they space the floor really well now, and you have their athleticism, you have their defense, and they're fun. Not only are they a machine, they're fun to watch. And so I'm looking forward to watching that game. One, because the atmosphere is going to be awesome because Kelvin Sampson's back in town.
You'd hope so.
You would think, right? OU fans, show up to Lloyd Noble. That's all I'd have to say about that. One, to show your respects to one of the greatest coaches of all time. 2, to support your program. Like, that you have a potential NCAA tournament team. They could upset number 1. in Norman. That would be kind of fun, right? I don't know if you want
Gosh,
to
what if they
storm.
won that game on Saturday? What if
Do
they
not
knocked
storm the
off?
floor. Do not pull Wake Forest. That's all I have to say. Do not
What
do
if they
it. Wake
knocked
Forest,
off the
Duke.
number one team in the nation with Kelvin Sampson at the helm? How bonkers would that be?
I think the program be on cloud nine. I think Porter Moser just solidified himself being the coach next year.
Yep.
I don't think he's going anywhere if he beats number one. I just don't. I think OU opens up the checkbook if that happens. Okay. What do you need? They're going to anyways, going into the SEC. I think that really reassures things. Because if they not only if they let's be homers. Let's say they go to Ames and they win and then they beat the number one team. Let's say this team makes a run of like Kelvin Sampson's 1994 squad with Ryan Miner, rest in peace. When they just went on that rampage of beating all those top five teams. You remember that? Well, you don't
wasn't
remember
alive
it.
back then.
You weren't alive, but it happened.
Yes.
Ernie Abercrombie in the corner, 3-pointer, beat the number one team in the country. OU was the hottest team in America at that point. Kelvin Sampson, I believe, won Coach of the Year that year. He did the degree commercials and all that type of stuff, degree deodorant. And he always wore that denim, denim and khaki with the red tie. And that was kind of his deal, even on the commercial. And that would be nuts. I mean, if they could somehow pull that off, and if they go 4-0, like what is OU seed if they go 4-0? I don't care if they're 1-out in the Big 12. If they go 4-0 from this juncture, this point on, they win 5 in a row. They are 20. They're 19, so they'd be 23-8.
Right
they'd
now,
be
they're
23-8.
5 straight wins to close the
23-8.
season.
Well, they
if they went 4-0.
State.
Yeah. So let's say they go one and done in the Big 12 tournament after winning 4 straight to close the season. That puts them at 23-9.
It'd be 5 straight because Bedlam.
We'll give them a win.
Give them a win in the Big 12
before they get
bounced. Okay. So
24-9. With that resume out of the Big 12, you're probably a 4 seed, maybe a 3, maybe. Likely a 4.
Yeah, there's zero chance. There's zero. All the Porter Moser haters are going to have to just go back into their little holes for a little bit, come back out if they don't live up to the standards, because they would probably return that whole team next year, right? Like, and that roster is really athletic. You add just one or two. You add one other big guy to go with Hughley, right? That team could be really good. Really good. That's all they really need is that one dude down low to be able to, one, not be Godwin. Let's just not be Godwin, not be Northweather down low playing defense. Not be Godwin on offense and defense and Northweather on defense. That's what you need. You need a balanced guy. I know that's asking a lot. So, but if you can find that piece and you return everybody with the additions of what they already have coming up, because I think Forsyth's going to be I think he's going to be a problem. He's sneaky athletic, can shoot the 3. He's very, very underrated. Would you agree? As a recruit, Sonny?
I would, yeah. I mean, yes.
He's fun to watch. He may be one of the best overall players come out of state in a long time. So outside of, Trey, so especially scoring, the dude can just light up the scoreboard.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, he's probably somebody that has, and I don't know what the transfer portal does to this roster, whether positive or negative, but I would say he's a guy that has a role as a freshman.
Yeah. So you bring in Dayton Forsyth. Do they have anybody else? I can't remember if they have. Who else do they have committed in that class?
So it's Dayton Forsyth and Cool Attack.
Love the name.
That's not actually how you pronounce it, but that's the only way I am okay with. Like I
He's
don't
from Fort
pronounce it.
Worth,
I don't even
right?
try to pronounce it the correct way.
Post player from Fort Worth, right?
Yes.
Yep.
6'9".
Yep.
Yeah, a little bit underdeveloped, but good
Yep.
player.
Yep.
Cool attack.
Cool attack. I hope to God they pronounce it like that. Just cool attack. That's the best. That is the best name in all college basketball. If that's the
You
case.
need reference. Kuolatak.
There
That's
you
how
go.
you spell it.
You're probably right. Cool attack.
No, stop trying to get the correct pronunciation in my head, Brandon. In my
Attack.
head, he is
Cool attack.
cool
That's it.
attack.
It is. It is cool attack. That's the way it is. It is what it is. All right. Before we go, what was the other thing we were going to talk about? Oh, do we want to hit next podcast? No.
Yeah, let's do it. So you guys, I imagine, will be listening to this on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening later than Wednesday, well, why not go catch OU Insider live on the YouTube channel, which will be
8:30.
recorded. It's 8:30 Wednesday night. So if you're listening past Wednesday, you've already missed it, but now's a good chance to go and catch up. It'll be recorded on the YouTube channel. But Thursday morning, we're recording a podcast that will be released on Friday. So that would be the 1st of March. So on Friday, the 1st of March, we will be dropping another podcast with Jason Belzer, the founder of Student Athlete, or I'm sorry, what is his official title?
CEO.
CEO. There it is. CEO of Student Athlete NIL. I know a lot of you listened and really enjoyed the conversation that we had with him last month. I guess it's been about a month since we had our initial conversation with him on the podcast. It was very wide ranging. We talked about a lot of things concerning NIL at the University of Oklahoma, talked about the Caden Green situation, the budget for football and other sports, etc. He is going to be joining the podcast again. He will have some pertinent news that will be going public on Friday. But if you listen to this podcast, you'll know about it first. And so he will have some pertinent news with regard to the Crimson and Cream Collective. That won't be the only thing that we discuss, though. So how about this? If you are watching on YouTube right now and you have questions that you would like us to ask Jason Belzer, go ahead, drop them in the comments. We're not going to make any promises. Obviously, there are some questions that I'm not sure Jason will be able to answer, even if he wanted to. But if it makes sense to ask and answer the question on both ends, we will ask it. Jason will answer it. So again, fire away in the YouTube comment section with anything that you would like us to discuss. And when we record the podcast on Thursday morning, we will take note of your comments and we will pick out a few and we'll ask those to Jason.
There you go. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to, and also, the 2000, I wouldn't even call them donor, 2000 members sign up, trying to get that $2 million donated into the collective from a donor. Every 250 members that sign up that are Sooners fans, 250,000 goes into a pot on top of whatever you all have put into it as well. So, and that's on top of what's already going into it anyways. So you're looking at, instead of $9 million, you could have 11, 12, $13 million worth of NIL for the football program to decipher, and then maybe several $1,000,000 to throw at the basketball program and elsewhere, softball, whatever, if you guys continue to be members of that Crimson and Cream Collective. So they're asking for your help. Go sign up. I'm sure we can put the link down below. But I guess what would you call it? The promo to get the $2 million put in there, the match, the 250,000 for every 250 members sign up. That's coming to an end as well, I believe, right? Like, how many days do we have left of that?
Not many. That's winding down.
Trying to look here. I will tell you guys after I pull out my handy dandy check here and see where it's at. They have been tweeting like crazy. All right, so it is at 687 members. If they can get up to 250 or 750, excuse me, if you can get up to 750, it'll be an extra $250,000 thrown in there. If you can get up to 1,000, you'll have $1 million total thrown in there by a donor. It'll be matched. If you can get up to 2,000, he'll match 2 million. So that promo is going on. You've only got 9 days left, which totally makes sense that Belser's coming back on here because the last time he came back on with us, it blew up with the news that's about to happen. And it'll be about the 7-day range on Friday. So it'll probably end next Friday, I believe, is when that promo ends. So if you want to unlock $2 million or help OU unlock that in the Crimson and Cream Collective from that donor, you need to start signing up. I mean, that's the best I can do for y'all. And that's the best I can say. So, anyways, yeah, I think that I'm excited for that podcast. I think that about does it for this one, right? I think we're good.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
I would say so. Let's
right.
let's run it back on Friday with Jason Belzer.
Yeah. Be prepared for some breaking news. So, all right. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast. If you're not a member of OU Insider VIP, sign up. Parker's got a ton of info that he already dropped just today via the recruiting news on Oklahoma. I'm going to drop some over the next 24, 48 hours. We're going to have more Q&A, chats, mailbags, more information, more recruiting, more coverage of softball, baseball, basketball, men's and women's. Like, we're doing it all for you guys over there at OU Insider VIP and just OUinsider.com in general. Sign up today, $9.95 a month or $99.95 gets you the whole year. Get you signed up all the way through 2025, February, March, whenever you want to sign up. Also, subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you want notifications for every time that we drop a podcast, a YouTube live, whether the Oklahoma drill, whether you want to get our basketball podcast with Jesse and Brody Lusk, if you want to get all that information, if you want to get all that content, subscribe to this YouTube channel right here, right now. Trying to get up to 16,000 by the end of spring. Trying to get up to about 17,000 by football season. That is our goal. We really do appreciate you all helping us get there. We do this for you guys and because you guys are subscribers to our channel and to YouTube or to our website. Without you, we are unable to have this job. And you guys allow us to do that. And we are very, very thankful of that. All right. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast. For Parker Thune, my name is Brandon Drum. You guys have a blessed day.